I'm Linda Barnicott, and I am a Pittsburgh artist. I do paintings of Kennywood and some of the local amusement parks around here, and also city scenes, landmarks. Just trying to bring back memories for people who have lived here and those who call Pittsburgh home. I think when you walk through the tunnel of Kennywood, you're in a new world. You've left Pittsburgh behind, and this is a place to come and play. I remember going there the very first time, and that feeling just, here I was with a wonderful boy that I really liked. And we were playing, we just went from ride to ride to ride to ride. And I think that's the same for a lot of people.
It's called The Magical Entrance of Kennywood. And I painted this in 1998. It was Kennywood's 100th anniversary. A lot has changed in the scene since I've painted it. Again, what's really cool about painting things in the day is that eventually, when things change, you've now captured something very historical. One of those amazing things is after it's all done and printed and it's selling in the galleries, I get to walk through that tunnel as a paying patron. It felt like I was walking right into my painting.
Of course, we had talked about Kennywood was my first Pittsburgh date, so it was always on the agenda. I hooked up with a second publisher. I remember going and meeting with him and saying, you know what, I really want to do a series. I can work with you. And he says, well, I thought we could do some Kennywood together. I was like, okay. I had a customer who bought my original Meet Me Under Kaufman's Clock. And she had said, if you ever do Kennywood and you do that Kennywood carousel, I would, buy a print. So I always had that in the back of my mind.
I had put my husband in all of my paintings from like 1989 on up. And I was sketching the carousel. And my littlest daughter came in and asked where I was going to put her and Brittany. And I was thinking, I could do that. So I invited all of my friends. I told them, meet me at Kennywood on opening day, and we'll see what happens. I had Tom and Alyssa and Brittany. He was holding Alyssa in his arms, and Brittany had a candy apple. And they stood right here in front of the carousel.
Charles Jackways was actually on one of the horses. He wrote the books Kennywood Memories and More Kennywood Memories and Goodbye Westview. And he didn't know he was in the painting until after it was painted, which was kind of fun.
After I painted this, they invited me that year to be a vendor. They set my booth up right across from the carousel. So I've not only had a chance to paint it and enjoy it over the years, but to see it year after year. I guess where we could go next is for the Fall Fantasy piece, which is right here. Okay, let's go around here. The Fall Fantasy, celebrating Kennywood's Fall Fantasy. When I set this up, I had the cafeteria, which is the oldest building in the park. A lot of grandparents really like to sit on at the tables and watch their grandkids in the parades during the fall months here. Kennywood. As I've been painting Kennywood, the more I paint Kennywood, the more employees seem to kind of fall into the painting somehow. And I'm very, very grateful for that. It gives them a wonderful memory, and it's a lot of fun for me too.
The more put people in the paintings, the more they enjoyed it. Again, that whole thing with, my goal is to create some happiness.
This is Chuck Lee. And Chuck has actually been a model in several of my paintings. When it came time to do the Fall Fantasy Parade, I didn't want to use any school district because all the other school districts would kill me. I ended up using the Kennywood band, and I was able to capture them and then put them in the painting later.
It's just this is the anticipation of thinking that you're going to be in a painting and you can hang this up in your house and show it to people, and then you see the final results and it's like unreal. It's awesome. To see that.
The train was always really good, again, for grandparents, parents of small children. I'd love to adopt a child at this point just to ride it because parents can ride with their children, and I think it's just a fun ride. I hope they always are able to maintain it and keep it here at the park. They've repainted it slightly since I've painted it, but that's okay. They can move on. Alongside the train is the auto race. And the auto race is one of the, I think it's the only one left in the world now. It is a really old ride here at Kennywood. Again, I wish I knew what the year was. In the window of the train station is a mannequin called Laughing Sal. She used to be at the front of the park, and when my husband was a little boy, he'd come into the front of the park and she'd be laughing, and he was scared to death of her. So I'm not sure how many children she had scared at the time, but she does a really good job here at the auto racing train. I had talked to the folks that actually brought back this design for this fountain from, I think it was Amsterdam. They had seen it, drawn it, and brought it back to Kennywood. And they designed the fountain to go here.
I'm very particular, very tight, and not something to be proud of probably, but I really want to render, you know, what is there. You know, and sometimes even if I have to use a magnifying glass and work under a magnifying glass with a sharp pastel just to get the detail that I want, I will do that, you know. That's kind of been something that I've really loved to do over the years.
I did a painting called Kennywood's King of the Coasters. Of course, it's the Thunderbolt and the Potato Patch Fries. I know when I was going through my wimpy not riding on the coaster stage, I spent a lot of time at the Potato Patch Fries here eating while my husband and my family were riding the famous Thunderbolt. It was a piece that I really, really loved doing. I probably had the most people in this painting that posed for me. I believe there was 55 separate people that took their chance to get into the painting. And you had asked me how people respond to being in the painting. Is Howard. Howard is one of the entertainers that comes every year during this festival. And he was called the mime to amaze. I mean, he doesn't wear that makeup now, but he still works as a mime and a juggler and a magician and everything. Interestingly enough, when the painting came out, I had it on my easel at Kennywood during the festival.
It's like I'm walking by here, and I think it was your husband that grabbed me by the arm and walked over and went like this. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Oh my gosh! And I remember I got emotional.
You did. You started having a few tears there. And I remember you took your hat off and you like did this turnaround in the middle of the walkway here.
Yeah.
And then you came up and you whispered in my ear and you said,
Yes, I did. I was blown away. And you put it so poignantly, which again got me very emotional. Morning, guys. You said, Howard, you're part of Kennywood.
You are. You make this work. You know? What was it like for like your daughters to see their daddy? They were little.
They were real little. And they were just like, cool, Dad, you're in a painting. And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, what? Like, they kind of figured that's where I should be.
And he has been so happy to be part of that painting ever since. And this year I just came out with a poster of it and also an ornament of the Thunderbolt, the Potato Patch. So this year when I saw him for the festival, I said, hey Howard, I miniaturized you this year.
Oh, easy. Coasting through Kennywood. So many things.
When I first met my husband, we met actually in 1975 for a day and a half. I came out with my high school orchestra, came to Bethel Park to do a combination orchestras together, and we talked for 3 minutes, and then he called me 2 years later. So
Linda and I had our first date here at Kennywood, and you know, it's a magical place to come when you're, you know, young or when you're not young. It's just a magical place. And I thought, what better place to propose to her? Where else would I want to do it but here? That a place that my parents brought me, a place that's been a real important part of our lives.
Kennywood has always had such a special place because we were on this bridge and you could tell that he was about ready to say something, and I decided to talk to him about those dreams I had about getting engaged and getting married. And I think I freaked him out because he was actually thinking the same thing. At the time, I didn't know what was wrong, but he kind of just walked away, and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. But it all ended up really, really good.
The number 22 that's on the back of the boat is my husband's old sales number when he was a shoe dog. When we first met, he worked for a shoe company called Hans Shoe Store. And his number was 22, and he'd write 22 on all these dollar bills.
On our first date, when he came out to see me in New Jersey, we ordered some ice cream, and when they gave us change, they gave us a dollar bill with his number 22 that he put on in Pittsburgh. So it was like really cool. So this is like, again, this is my favorite piece. I have the original. I won't sell the original. I actually had someone look at it years ago, and I told Tom, I said, I can't sell it. So I get to keep that one. I sold the other ones, but I get to keep that one.
Kennywood has always been an important place for us as a couple and for a place for our children, a place where we enjoyed so much of their young years.
Kennywood has been very generous with me over the years, and great relationships with a lot of the folks that work there. And I will forever keep Kennywood in part of my heart. Because of how kind and wonderful they've been to me over the years, and allowing me to come in and do the paintings and to bring a lot more joy to people who visited there,